Storm Bowling Products, the Bowlers Company, presents the Storm Collegiate Spotlight with Steve Klemkin and Tim Berg. Storm's Executive Director of Marketing and Above180.com's Tim Berg are going to introduce a variety of collegiate players, coaches, and key people involved in promoting the sport of bowling. Now, here's Coach K and Tim Berg.
Joining us today on the Storm Collegiate Spotlight podcast is Anthony Simonsen. Anthony has 4 PBA titles and is on Team USA. Anthony, it's Tim Berg and Coach K, Steve Klemkin here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Anthony, you are overseas bowling the Lucky Larson Masters tournament. Let's talk about that and how are things going and what led you to bowl the tournament across the pond?
Tim Mac's been a big key for me, just bowling out on the PBA tour. Between talking to him as well as Angie, we decided to go ahead and start making some trips over. And, I kind of fell in love with traveling over here and getting to see different parts of the world. It's just a whole new experience, different formats, different atmosphere, just kind of different in all aspects of it.
And, if people want to learn a little bit more about this tournament, it's Lucky Larson Masters. .com, but you've bowled a couple qualifying squads now. Why don't you talk a little bit about maybe lane conditions, strategy, what you're seeing out there, and then what you're hoping to accomplish here this weekend?
They're flat as they were last year. Topography in this bowling center is quite tricky. There's a couple lanes that are significantly different than the other lanes. Lane 1, there's a wall connected basically on top of the gutter cap. The same with lane 22, but there's a little more, a couple more right-handers than there are left-handers in the event. My plan of attack so far this week has been the pitch black, pretty close to the gutter, up the lane, and just kind of trying to control down lane motion.
Anthony, help our listeners and understand what it is like and why you like going overseas to bowl.
Over here in Europe, it's not, we're not treated as much as superstars, I guess you would say, as you feel like whenever you go over to Asia. I think that's just, they see us a little more frequently in Europe than they do in Asia. There's that. There's the formats are completely different. They're unlike anything we have in the States. And just kind of getting to bowl with everybody. Different crosses every week. One lane goes one way, one lane goes the other way. So that's just a neat experience, kind of getting to go and meet everybody.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about, this is the Storm Collegiate Spotlight podcast, and let's talk a little bit, Anthony, about maybe going back through any thoughts and decisions and ideas when you were in high school and what your future was going to be as you got a little bit older. Did you ever were you aware of college bowling or have any thoughts about potentially going to compete in that, or were your eyes strictly set on the PBA tour and the path you took there?
With me being a little different than most and actually leaving school my freshman year, I spent a year still bowling youth stuff, doing a little bit of homeschooling and whatnot. And after a while, I kind of realized that, I wasn't going to go back at the time being, and wasn't going to take the college route. I just started bowling local stuff and competing, throughout the Dallas area. And Dallas, I think, has got one of the strongest competitive bowler base, anywhere in the nation. So just getting to bowl that, getting a little bit of experience, and then deciding after bowling a couple of regionals that I would go ahead and get my card, and everything's kind of trickled down from there.
So, Anthony, what's it like then to be competing with these college kids who graduated and bowled either 3 or 4 years in school, and it seems like they're coming out on the PBA tour and having success more and more and earlier these days?
Just the talent that the younger generation has. I'm still considered to be the younger generation, but now kids are getting so much better, so much faster with being able to use the technology that's out there. When it comes to YouTube, you can basically pull up any bowling style in the world and study it from multiple different ways. They're really just getting smarter. I think, obviously as time goes by, more people are learning more things. coaches are getting more knowledgeable, and they're just feeding all the information in, and the kids are love taking it to them.
Hey, talking about bowling styles now, real recently here, I think it was in Delaware there, you won an extra frame event by utilizing a little bit of a different style than what maybe would be your traditional way of throwing the ball, and it's not the difference between using your thumb or not using your thumb, whether a two-handed or one-handed type of delivery, but actually you delivered it by rotating the ball back basically the opposite direction up the left side of the lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you have been practicing, naturally good at? Do you feel like you've opened up your game or your options to a new way to compete and looking at lane conditions? Is that something that when you're bowling practice session, do you look at the left side of the lane now in addition to the right side as well, or was it just kind of like maybe like a last-ditch effort to find a way to compete? Kind of talk about that for a little bit.
So I have a really good friend of mine named Jordan Horns from the Michigan area. He's been doing it for a while, throwing it back up. He's two-handed style from the right. He's been doing it, a couple events bowling up the left. We were bowling a tournament out in Vegas late July, I believe it was. He, makes a Facebook set. I'm filling an 830 coming up the left this week, and the very next 3-game set, he bowls 837.
Oh, really?
So just, he's a good friend of mine, and chit-chatting with him, he always gives me crap about, I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. So I just slowly, it's something I've messed around with a little bit before, but didn't really take anything too serious. And, over the last few weeks, I've just kind of been practicing. I bowled the regional in San Jose, where Jacob Butterf and his partner, I think they won by like 1,000 pins. And even if you take the bonus pins out of play, they still win by, 400 or 500. So it's just something that, I've kind of been messing around with a little bit. I know Belmo did it at the U.S. Open on the double burn squad. And it's just kind of one of those things. It's just another tool in the bag. It's not going to be something I do all the time. Like last couple games today, I did it over here just because for what I was trying to do, the balls didn't have the right surface, so they were going to make me kind of get out of whack. I felt like if I was trying to make those particular balls work. So, it'll be something that I keep in the back of my mind, but it's not going to be something that at every event I'm trying.
What do you look for, and what makes you choose that route to go to that two-handed backup?
So at that particular event, what I was seeing, I think, two of us or the three of us have bowled enough events that you can kind of tell when the field's striking, and you can also tell when the field's not striking. It's kind of one of those deals. The field wasn't striking, and I actually shot at a 2-8-10, throwing it back up. And whenever I shot at it, I thought for sure it was going right in the left gutter. I threw it at the gutter really fast. It's like, that's not where it's supposed to go. Didn't go in, hooked up, and I was like, that's kind of an idea. It was in the back of my mind for sure. Then the following game, I left another 2-8-10 in the 8th frame. I think I bowled 170 the game before. I was struggling that game. Threw it back up. Another one that I really thought, wasn't supposed to hook, and it did. And I got back, talked to Callahan, and it's just like, Jim, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm kind of at the point where my ball reaction's so bad on the right side. It's something I've actually been practicing over the last month or so. I bowled 3 times. I practiced 3 times during the week before the Delaware stop. I'm not a big practicer at all. Once a week, if that, with as much as I'm bowling, so I feel like I stay pretty sharp competing so much. I bowled, so 3 times. And Jordan, my buddy Jordan, actually came down one of the days. We had a little practice together, and I want to say I probably threw 15 shots on the right side of the lane. Everything else was back up. I drilled a ball with almost a left-handed layout on it. It's kind of one of those things where once I saw that and I saw how hard the lanes were, I felt like at least with the urethane ball up there, I could kind of control the pocket. I just think what made it so easy to do is after I threw the first shot, it just simply didn't hook, and I made a move, and they all 3, read the lane in the exact same part, which is something I hadn't seen on the right side of the lane for 2 games. And, I threw the last 2 and got a little bit of confidence. I was like, well, maybe it was just this pair of lanes. And once I moved to the next pair, I threw the first one and it struck. I want to say like the third frame, I had a messenger come over. And once I had that happen, I got pretty comfortable and, was just kind of able to get into a little zone.
That's cool how a messenger, loosens you up on the, when you're bowling, off the right side, but the same kind of feeling it sounds like on the left side, did it basically the same way. And now you've got a whole nother option when you're competing, Hey, final question I've got for you, Anthony. You've got a pretty busy schedule. Like you say, you're there in Sweden right now. And you're going to be traveling here to Asia as well for a few events. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, in about 3 weeks' time, I will be traveling to Thailand for the World Bowling Tour Thailand Open. From there, I will go to Seoul, Korea. They're bowling the Samho Cup, which I finished second in 2 years ago. Looking forward to going back to that event. I've had quite a bit of success over in Korea. And then from there, we're going to go spend a week in Japan with Storm Fair, and I worked that for the first time last year. Had a great time. With this year being the 20th anniversary, I can't wait to see what they have in store for us.
Awesome. And what in the Roto Grip and Stormline are you liking? I know you mentioned the pitch black that you threw over at this tournament, but what else are you liking, and what's reading the lanes well for you these days?
Phase 2 is always in the bag. It's something I don't leave home without. Thankfully, having status with the airlines, I'm able to bring 9 balls over. So I'm normally able to bring 2 of those with me. Try to bring an up one and a down one. Normally, that's my benchmark ball. It's going to give me a good idea. Really been a fan of the Idol, just with how flexible I feel like the surface is. It's a ball that you can shine, get down the lane a little bit, corner a little harder. And then bowling on some shorter stuff, you're able to put a little bit of surface on it and slow it down. And those are kind of the 2 main options as of late.
All right. Well, good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Anthony. We know it's very late there, your time there in Sweden, and want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.